There he is. The Sarge is here. I need to salute, stand up. What do I need to do?
How you doing, guys?
How are you, man?
I'm doing well. Doing well.
Good.
Busy.
Good.
School back in session, doing all that stuff. Trying to run this channel, do all kinds of crazy stuff. I was talking to Linda before we started. It's craziness.
Talk to us about your shows. Talk to us about your shows, your channel first.
Yeah, so
because,
True Crime
because
with
you're trying to upstage me with those great glasses in blue.
There you go.
Blue shirt,
Yeah,
blue
so True Crime.
glasses.
I have a channel, True Crime with the Sarge. It's a YouTube channel. We do live shows. We do videos. I call them True Crime with the Sarge Adventures. I go to crime scenes. We talk about certain things. Ellen Greenberg's been on my radar recently. I just came back from Manayunk, where that happened. But things are going well. Closing in on 20,000 subscribers, and I would say not too bad for somebody who does everything on his own. So everything's been a learning curve. It's kind of fun.
It is an amazing. I mean, this is all new to us too. We just started a year ago, and we're learning every day. Sometimes learning how much we don't know. What are you teaching, and where is that happening?
Well, I have. I actually teach online for John Jay College. I spent over 20 years teaching in person, and I said, you know what? I'm retiring. I don't want to come back to the city anymore. As simple as that. I'm tired of doing it. I spent nearly my whole life commuting to New York City, and I've had it. And they said, well, how about if you teach online? So I said, all right, we'll give it a shot.
Cool.
I do miss like interaction with the kids and all, but I do not miss like 3-hour commutes. I just don't.
Brutal. Yeah. So is it criminal law type stuff? Is it investigative?
No, criminal investigations. I'm doing the fourth. I do the criminal investigation class because I've written a textbook on that, and I do varying semester to semester use of force class. All kinds of introductory to policing, that kind of thing.
You're the guy. You're the expert. You're the man.
I can imagine it's an entertaining class. I think it's probably an entertaining class. And just knowing you as we do, and you've got so many stories. I would imagine you're well reviewed.
Yeah, the kids kind of like it. I guess I'm probably easy too, because if you look at those Rate My Professors, they kind of think you're too easy. But my goal is to make sure that they walk out of the class learning some real life stuff, right? I mean, you can sit and talk and do all this stuff, but I teach them about the major Supreme Court decisions that have to do with what they need to know in the real world. Your Mapp versus Ohio cases, and Miranda, of course, and the list just goes on and on. Brady versus Maryland, we just went over the other day, and to understand that how about that the prosecutor has to give over all this information and all the other things that go along with it. So it's important things that they need to know for real life stuff too, just in case they ever get in trouble, they know exactly what to do.
That's good. Yep.
Yeah,
that's good.
Great. That's
so
great.
we want to talk about a couple.
We go to you. We also go to you when we want to know what the process and procedures are, which is probably a little bit above what the everybody looks like kids to me today, Joe. So that's
I'm in the same category. They're all kids. 20-year-olds kid.
So two things we want to talk to you about. We're going to get to the Long Island case and Shannon Gilbert, but since we've just talked about Ms. Fitzsimmons and her situation, let's talk about the incident that led to her current situation, and that is this ex parte claim by her baby daddy that leads to a restraining order, basically a turnover order. Give me your baby. They go to the house. There's no body cameras, Joe, so it's all, he said, she said, they said. Walk through that whole, that scenario for us. What you should expect, what you shouldn't expect, what would happen.
Before I get into that, there's one question, a burning question about this case that I have to ask. I mean, Massachusetts. Every time I see a Massachusetts and law enforcement, I always get, oh gosh, right. Why, if she was diagnosed with postpartum and she was having all these struggles, why weren't her guns removed under some administrative issue like we have in the New York City Police Department, where somebody's struggling with something or has been diagnosed with something, is under a doctor's care, that administratively they remove the guns from the individual so that they are not a harm to themselves or others? And that's been my number one burning question.
She just got it back. She just
gotten them back.
They had been removed.
This happened on June 30th. She was scheduled to go back to work on July 4th. And she had been cleared basically within a very short time of that day, which probably made it even more surprising to her. Anyway, so how does that work? You're the cop. You get the order. Go present this to this parent. We need to get the kid. How does that all happen?
Yeah, I mean, this one is a little strange in certain aspects because you see it's usually the wife doing this or the woman doing this and this one's flipped around. I mean, there's no criminal conduct alleged before, right? There's no police reports. There's nothing about her um, official police reports, right? Because he's accused her
Yeah,
of
yeah,
attacking her.
yeah. Just ex parte. Here's why I need to get the kid out of there.
Yeah, I don't know if this would have flown in New York. I really don't, because
Interesting.
they would turn around and say, have you ever filed a police report against all this stuff? I mean, have you done any of the other things? Have you guys gone through marriage counseling? Have you done all the other things that are going on? Uh, Possibly what we would have done, of course, we would have gotten the registry involved, which is the child abuse network that you have. And not that because you think child abuse has happened, but you bring in the investigators there and to interview the mother and interview the kid and look at have the kid looked at medically and all the other things. Because law enforcement, as you know, are mandated reporters. So you have to deal with that issue. The child is always your number one protection in regards to this. And you have to then, unfortunately, I've been to some of these situations where you get the court order and you have to enforce it. It's even though you don't agree with some of the things that go on, it's your job as the police to uphold what the judge is telling you to do.
Yeah. But on that note, by the way, Cynthia Lynch, Justice for Kelsey, thank you very much for that donation. We really appreciate it on behalf of Justice Serve TV. But on this is her guns were just given back to her. The police come. How about body cameras? Is it unusual? Do you see cases where there's like North Andover doesn't have any body cameras at all? They voted not
Yeah,
to.
there's still some departments fighting this for some reason. Some of them are making it a union contract. Even out on Long Island, Nassau, and Suffolk County are finally embracing the idea. When body cameras first came out, I was a huge proponent for them. Not because I think that the cops are doing all kinds of crazy stuff and bad stuff and they need to be watched. Because I had been on the record saying this is a great idea because we're actually going to find out how bad the public really is now. There's going to be video evidence. They're going to go into court with a lot of these things and they're going to show the video and people are going to look at the video, look up a thing and say, why are we even here? And I think that they have definitely been beneficial to the police more than anything else in regards to policing per se. And yes, if you had a couple of people that were sitting on the fence of, are they a rotten apple or not? I think it kept a couple of them from going, you know, Star Wars to the dark side and then doing things that they normally do. But you know what, though? We've seen body cams catch cops do some stupid stuff too. So, yes, it is what it is. I think they're a great tool. And why that in 2025 you're still fighting this, I don't really know.
Yeah.
Because
as a matter of fact, I had the case in New Jersey that started that body cams in Jersey, and then it kind of like swept. That was the Turnpike shooting. The 4 kids who were going to basketball camp, and they were labeled as unemployed. And then the New Jersey State Police ended up being mandated to use them. And then everyone all of a sudden loved them. They, everyone fought them, and then they loved them because they found that it could support cops too. Not only get it, and now of course everybody else has a phone. If you're around where something's happening, you have a cell phone. So,
but that's a great way to combat that, though, right? So you're the police. You have this camera on there. People, putting cameras in your face, phones in your face. Having that body camera on really levels the playing field about a certain, element that you're dealing with out in the street. I'll tell you right now. I mean, I didn't have to be bothered with that kind of stuff when I was a cop because these things didn't exist. The cell phones, people throwing them in you, thrusting it in your face. I mean, that could be dangerous on so many levels.
Let me ask you this question, Joe, that may not be, maybe it's too administrative. These days, what's it cost for body cams? I'm tired of hearing that, it's not in the budget, or I just can't imagine these days that it's a very expensive item.
I don't think the cameras themselves are the expensive item, but it's the storage and it's the, because this video, as you know, right? If you're running a YouTube show, these things take up a lot of room on hard drives and you have to protect them. So you have to have the security with the police footage. You then have to make sure that, so that people can't hack into them and break into them and everything else that goes along with it. And then you have to come up with a plan about how long these videos have to be kept. Is it 5 years, 10 years, 100 years, or is it forever? So I think that is the main issue about storage and about being able to secure that stuff. I think that's where the biggest cost comes. And anybody who's had a phone knows that their iCloud drive He's always telling them,
That's a
need to get
scam.
more.
That is such a
You need to
scam.
get more. Need to get more. Well, I guess, but you know, the same thing happened with these body cam, especially in a place like New York City, right? You got 30,000 cops running around with body cam footage. That video
Oh
is
yeah, I can
gonna add
imagine.
up. Yeah, that video is gonna add up real quick.
But
And then, you know,
again, that part of the technology is also getting cheaper and more readily available. And so, you know, I just think it's a horrible excuse. I remember in the Karen Reed case, of course, no body cams, but now Canton police have them and you know, at all times. So, you know, at some of these smaller departments, I suppose, just wait until they're, you know, forced to do it for whatever reason.
And it's really beneficial for them. It really is.
Yeah, yeah. And it just, you know, we're so cynical. You know, I don't think it's just us. I think a lot of people that they just think, what are you hiding? You don't have body cam. What are you hiding? What is it that we should see that you're not letting us see?
Well, I mean, if they had body cams in this case, right, we would have our answers that we would already know. Like, does she point the gun at the cop?
Yep.
Is it, or even make, you know, even the flinch towards it? You remember, because listen, you're involved in a situation where somebody is possessing a gun, whether it's up against their head or not. There's still a threat to the officer in the room or not, because it takes a split second to go from here to here. And we don't, you know, as police officers, you don't wait to get shot, right? I mean, the Supreme Court has said, and, you know, Graham versus Connor and that the U.S. Supreme Court decision, right? It's about the totality of the circumstances. It's about the objectively reasonableness test. You know, was this officer reasonable in doing so? And it's not about 2020 hindsight. It's not about people saying Monday morning quarterbacking these things, right? Linda, sorry you're a Jet fan, but that's one of the only sports teams in New York that I don't have to be tortured by. Everybody else, I couldn't imagine if I had the trifecta of the Mets, the Islanders, and the Jets. I think I would actually just, you know, drive myself off the pier. But the issue that comes down to is that you're dealing with a situation where it's very easy to pick and choose about what the cops should or shouldn't have done. And, you know, that therein lies the problem. And I encourage people that they should read the decision of Graham versus Connor before they decide on what they think that the police did right or wrong, because that dictates exactly what they can do in use of force situations.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. And I think right now we're coming past that. We're coming to the fact of, why is she in jail when she's had postpartum depression, when she's shot over alcohol, breathing into a scram machine, when she's got fragments in her? And I think it's her treatment now that's really upsetting people. No one is saying that is actually gotten to the whether or not she was going to kill herself or whether or not she pointed the gun at noon.
Yeah, common sense is no longer common, and that's part of the problem. I mean, you get shot in the chest, and you want you to breathe into this device, right? So I remember when I had my gallbladder taken out years ago, and they had this machine that you had to blow in because with the air, and I remember I struggled for days doing that. And that's, you know, we're not talking about a gunshot wound with bullet fragments and broken ribs and everything else that goes along with it. So I feel for this woman in regards to that. I think that's a little bit being unfairly treated. And I think that will get flipped. You know, I don't see her as the big threat to society. I mean, geez, the people that they let out in the streets, and you say to yourself, you're holding this woman back. I kind of question that.
I mean, the bigger threat, give me your thoughts on this, Joe. She's a cop, former correctional officer. Oh, here, let's just throw you in jail. I mean, to me, that seems to be the biggest threat, not her threat to the community.
Yeah, no, if you're a police officer, a corrections officer, or any type of law enforcement, and you end up in the prison system, boy, you have a target on your back, no matter who you are or where you are. I mean, even if you're in solitary confinement, you know, the guards could get you. I mean, other people can get you. And it's just, you know, I look at Derek Chauvin, right? From the George Floyd thing. I think they almost got him already in an attack. So, I mean, it's not, listen, you're locked up with these people. They're after you. They're only waiting for that opportunity where somebody makes a mistake, something happens, and then boom.
And that's what I've said. Linda and I've talked about this. I said I'm just praying we don't have that, you know, bulletin that she's been seriously injured or worse. We know that in the brief that was filed with the SJC, there was at least one incident in which she was threatened by somebody. And it doesn't take a lot of there's a lot of free time with people in jail. They got nothing else to do but connive and threaten. And I hope that this decision comes down tomorrow, the next day at the latest, and it's the right decision.
Yeah, well, some people
Yeah.
say, well, it's only jail or only awaiting their trials. It's not. Listen, some of these people are never getting out of jail. They're going to go right from jail, right to their trial, right to prison. And they
Right.
know that. And some of them might be going around for the rest of their life anyway. So they have nothing to lose, nothing to gain except for notoriety of doing this. So you're in a really precarious situation. And it's something I always preach to my students that you never want to be on the front page when you're in law enforcement because you're either dead or going to jail.